I have learned to appreciate the role that everyone has on a team.
Along the way, with help of friends and mentors, I found out about a career in user experience.
Algorithmic self-assembly or programmable matter, just kind of cool things like that.
I feel like I've become more familiar with how APIs work.
There's something that you know that other people don't. Likewise, there's stuff that other people know that you don't.
So in terms of managing my time, it was just doing anything and everything that I felt like I could do and that would help me grow.
The deadline is in like 2 months from now, so it's fine. Like, you can fix it now.
You have to trust that over time, you keep putting in the work, it'll get you there.
So my name is Alejandra Santos, but everyone calls me Ale. I am currently working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, as a cybersecurity, privacy, and forensics consulting associate. I think that's the official name of it, but like I'm just an associate. I've been at it since January. I've been at it for like 4 months. So far, so good. I'm not dead yet. I graduated in December with my bachelor's in computer science with a minor in medical Spanish. That's it. Yeah, so funny story. I ended up applying for an internship for PwC back in like 2018, and I got rejected. And then I applied for another one in 2019. I got rejected. 2020 rejected. 2021 rejected. And then so by the time that it was the Grace Hopper the conference, I was like, I'm just gonna apply. I want the experience. I applied to 20 different places and I got rejected to 18 of them. It was really hard. It was really brutal. But it was really good. I ended up taking I think 2 or 3 cybersecurity courses here at UTRGV. They basically taught us the basics. So when they asked me they did 2 case studies. It was one in which they talked about personality, tell me about yourself. And I'm really good at talking about myself. And then the second one, I was really nervous for it. It was a use case. And then they're like, oh, let's say that a client is asking you to do this. What would you do? And then I was like, oh, I'm going to use hashing. I didn't even remember what it was, but I remember that it was a word that they used very often in my class. I was like, oh, I would use hashing. And I got the job that same week. And then there was another job that I applied for. That one was for an actual software engineering role. Mind you, I do not know coding. I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science, but I do not know coding. And I know what you think, oh, she's probably just she knows coding, but she said and nobody does it. No, but I really didn't know what I was doing. When they asked me a lot of questions, I was like, I do not know the answer to this. I do not know the answer to this, but I will learn it. And they gave me the job for that one too. So I was like, dang, which one do I get? Do I get the first one? Do I get the second one? And I was basically undecided because one of them, it was for a lot more money than what I asked for, but it was in the middle of nowhere. And then this one, I accepted the position the minute that they told us that PwC was officially going to be virtual. And I'm like, this one, I want to stay with my family. I don't have to pay rent. I'm pretty good. So the interview process. Oh yeah, that one was pretty good. It's just be yourself and be confident, I guess. That's the main thing. Be honest. And basically what they're looking for at PwC is for you to be able to have people skills, since that's what you do. You're talking to a lot of clients, and as long as you're able to have a conversation and just be friendly, I think that's the main important thing. It's good if you know basic computer science, cybersecurity stuff, but they teach you everything on the job. You really don't have to know anything. Everything that I'm learning now, I didn't learn a single thing in college, which is really nice. That was it. That was my tangent. All right, so right now, when we had to do our training, they told us that we had to study like Microsoft Azure and Microsoft AWS. So they told us to take like certifications. They didn't mind which one you took. So for me, since I was in the cybersecurity aspect, I had to take Azure. But now that I'm working with my clients, like I don't need Azure, I need AWS. So I'm also studying for that one. So I recommend anybody that like is interested in doing cybersecurity to do both Azure and AWS. And I know that every single year, it is required for like in the firm for us to get another certification and to always be like elevating ourselves. And they do a lot of perks, like, oh, like if you end up getting this, like we'll end up giving you cash or whatever, like, which is really good. It's a cute incentive, but it's also a way for us to always be like growing. So that's basically the main thing, like the huge one, like AWS, since I'm still learning it, and like they're talking about it all the time. And we have to do a lot of like diagrams, we have to do a lot of like documents, and like I basically like I'm like, okay, what is this on Google, and I have to put it like it's best if you already know what it is beforehand, but not required. Okay, so I was very crazy in college. I was always like, I had like my planner, and then I had like my digital planner, and then I had like my calendar, and I'm like, oh, I need to like wake up at 5 a.m. I needed like, this is my 30 minutes of lunch. Like I was like very rigid on my schedule. And sometimes it was really hard because I would definitely sacrifice sleep and like social for school, and for work I was crazy. I had like 2 jobs in college. Like I was killing myself for no reason. Like, I mean, it looks really cute and really pretty on my resume and on LinkedIn, but like it really wasn't good for mental health. There was a time in which like I completely like burnt out, basically. So I took 6 months off. I went to Disney. I worked at like the college program. So I feel like if you really do not take care of yourself in college, like you're going to burn out, and like it's all gonna be downhill from there. But yeah, that's basically the main important thing. Find hobbies as well. Right now, since like this is the first time that I have like free time, I'm like, okay, what do I do in my free time? Like I sit down and I'm like, what do I do? Should I go back to work? Like I literally like I need to do things. So like I don't know. I've been starting to like watch anime. I've been starting to do a couple of things, but just to figure out what kind of things I like and what kind of things I don't like. Yeah. Alright, so the main one that I'm going to say is definitely like be very communicative. Like since we're virtual, like nobody knows what you're doing, and like you could literally be like taking a nap and like nobody knows. So like you have to be overly like overshare what you have to do. Like you have to be like, oh, I'm doing this and that. And every single day my team meets for like 30 minutes just to talk about what we did that day. And I am somebody that I don't like talking about the work that I do. I'm very like, oh, I don't like talking about, like, I don't like being like, oh, I did this and I did that. But you kind of have to do it. It's something that needs to get done on the job. Something else that, like, I am starting to learn how to do is give people drafts. Like, in college, my first draft was my last draft. Like, that's the thing that I would send out. Like, I literally was like living life on the edge. Like I would wait till the very last minute. I was a procrastinator. I would be like, well, let's pray that it's good, you know. But here, every single day, I have to give them a draft. And even if it's crappy, they will tell me like, oh, this is wrong, this is bad. Like you need to fix this. But like, how am I? Like it's the best way for me to learn. By telling them what to do, and it's best for the client, for them to know, like for us to give them, oh, this is what we did today, this is what we did today. Because they're not at the very end when we present to them like our final deliverable, like they're not going to be like, what is this? Like everything here is wrong. And we've had days in which the client has been like, this is wrong, this is not right. But the deadline is in like 2 months from now, so it's fine, like you can fix it now. So that's the main thing, like to be overly communicative and to always just be doing drafts and always drafts, like best friends, honestly. Oh, easy. I guess just not be afraid to apply for the internship for the role that you're looking for. Back in 2017, I wasn't doing so hot with my grades, in which I took a class 3 times. I was very my GPA was nowhere near where I wanted it to be, so I would apply and then they would ask me for my GPA and then I would leave it. Like, I wouldn't even submit it. But obviously that's the worst decision that you can do. Like, if you don't submit it, like, you're never gonna know that you got it or not, you know? So, don't be afraid, like, take risks, honestly, network with a lot of people, with everybody. Like, I didn't know about the Grace Hopper if it wasn't for my friends. Like you need to be able to network with everybody because like you never know who's gonna be working with you. And now I found out literally yesterday that there's like 3 people that are also working at the same company as I am that are here in the Valley and went to UTRGV, and I'm like, yo, what's up, you know? So you never know when somebody might need something from you. And like it's always like a really nice thing to help somebody out, to be like, oh yes, I can help you with this. Make me as your reference, you know? Like I think about all those times that like I would cry and I would have like anxiety attacks. Like I would be like, dang, like I'm never gonna get a job. Like if I got a job and I failed my classes like 3 times and like I had like a bunch of like F's, like everybody else can do it. Like I'm basically like, and Dr. Schreller, he would be like, oh, there's always like you are not the worst student in the class, and then or something like that. And like obviously there has to be a student that was the worst in the class, and that was me. Like I knew it was me, and then like it doesn't make sense, but like I was really good at selling myself in interviews. Like I was really like my like LinkedIn and my resume, like they're super pretty, they're super nice, but like me, like I didn't know anything. So like I worried so much. I was like, wow, what am I gonna do like after college? Like there's no way I'm gonna get a job. And I got a job. And I got a job in cybersecurity, and it's really good. And every single day I'm like, wow, like I feel so blessed to be doing this. Like I got to learn so much, and like it's a completely different vibe, and I love it. So like if I got it, basically what I'm trying to say is that like you can get it too. Like that's basically the main thing. So for the longest time I was like, maybe I should get a master's. But I realized that nobody in my, like where they work, like my manager, my director, like nobody has a master's. And then they told me like, if you want to get a master's, don't get it in like cybersecurity, get it in business. Because I guess like the job that I'm doing, like it is cybersecurity, but you also, it's very like corporate at the same time. Like you have to, like it's a really interesting mix of like both, that you always have to like be ready to talk with clients, be ready to take notes and present, but at the same time like do like technical stuff. And like it's a very weird combination, since I was always like, yo, like, you know, like very computer sciencey, like I don't know how to say it, but like so now I have to be like more polished. I am not polished because obviously I'm virtual, and like I get to be at my house and I'm like eating chips and everything while I'm working. But like what was the question? Oh yeah, for the longest time I was like, I want to do a master's, but maybe I could do a master's. I'm not sure right now. The main thing I want to do is like rest. This is the first time that like I've fully been able to just rest. And well, obviously I'm working, but like I don't have homework. I don't have to study for exams. Every single day I finish my assignments, and I'm like, well, I can always do it tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. And that's been so good. I feel so nice, and I just want to like take it in. For the longest time, like I wanted to work at Disney again. So maybe that could be something in the future, but I'm not necessarily, like right now I'm really enjoying it. Like I never thought I would be in cybersecurity. I always thought I would be like in a SWE role or like in a PM role, and I'm not, but I don't regret it at all. Like it's awesome and I'm learning so much, and I think that's it.
Hi, my name is Catalina. I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in computer science this past December 2021, and now I'm working as a developer advocate at Zoom, part of the marketplace team. So last semester, let's say, the way I usually look for jobs, I guess, would be like through LinkedIn or just look at companies that I am particularly interested in. And I was really looking forward to working as a developer advocate at a company. And however, those roles are kind of scarce. They're kind of hard to find. Not every company has them, and if they do, not all companies do the same thing. So looking through LinkedIn, I was able to find this job, apply, and they got to me back pretty fast. I want to say after I applied, I probably got reached out for an interview like a week from that time. And the interview process it's pretty extensive, and I want to say Zoom has like my favorite interviews that I've ever had, because it didn't feel like it was, what do you know? Tell me the answer right now. It was super conversational. It was very conversational and very open, and they made me feel extremely comfortable. The interviews were very, very long, I will say that. I believe the first interview usually is, standardly it's usually 30 minutes, but my first interview was about an hour, and it was just introduction, clarification about the job, what I'm looking for, etc., etc. And then after that, I went straight with the manager, and that was like an hour or two, I might say. And then after that, I had to interview with all the team. Not all the team members, but some team members, and all in one day. So that was about, I want to say, like 5 to 6 hours or something like that. It was a really long interview, but I think it's mostly because they were short on time to hire somebody. Okay, so I've only worked here for 3 or 4 months, so I haven't done anything super big yet, but I feel like I've become more familiar with how APIs work, especially obviously communication APIs, which is what Zoom is. It's a communication platform. So I feel like I've become more familiar with different, how to use different, I want to say Zoom APIs, because that's what I've been focusing on for different scenarios. So for example, for how to integrate that in a school district or in HR department, medical industry, or even different, depending on what country or what region you're in. Zoom is used very, very differently, and there's a lot of different policies, laws, the way the API is being used. That's something that I've learned a lot. Like Zoom isn't just, let's video chat or let's have a phone call. It's a lot more than that, and I think it's pretty cool. I've become a lot more familiar with APIs and API calls, and just I guess how to use them properly, not how to make the most out of the API. Okay, well, that part, how did I manage? I barely managed, let's say that. With my last semester of my computer science degree, I had to do a capstone project, and that capstone project took over my life. It was extremely time-consuming. So finding time to apply to jobs that I was interested in, and catching up on reviewing for interviews, as well as like just all that stuff was. I barely got any sleep. Let's say last semester I barely slept. When I had free time or when I had time, I would just apply to as many as possible. And since I was basically only applying to either software engineering roles or developer advocate roles, mostly developer advocate roles, the resume that I had was sufficient enough. So the application process was really fast for me. So I just, any free time that I had or before I went to sleep, I would just apply to everything and keep up with it either like I would keep up with it on the GitHub projects board, and then I would have like a board like, places I've applied to, places that I've gotten rejected from, places where I have an interview or offers, which was Zoom and one other company. But that's how I kept up with it, I guess. And to the closer, when I would get an interview, I would probably like say I would book that interview two weeks after they told me, and I would use those 2 weeks to prioritize that. So I would definitely like just study and study the company and study the role and really look at the job description to know what I need to be familiar with to be able to pass that interview. So I guess that's how I semi-handled that situation. But it was pretty hard. I must say, I didn't get an offer until probably like 2 days before I graduated. So I was extremely anxious. Especially because I had a lot of plans after graduating. I was not going to be in town at all. So I was really worried about not getting an offer and having to either cancel or delay my plans afterwards. But I'm pretty fortunate to have been able to get an offer before graduating. I want to say communication has been a big one, as well as teamwork. I think that those two, even though they seem really generic, I really emphasize those two because I feel like it's something that people don't really have. I feel like teamwork can be very difficult, especially if your communication skills aren't there. A lot of the time in different companies you get this, oh, well, I didn't know this was happening, or a sudden change happened in a department and it affects everybody else, and nobody knew this was going to happen, so now we have to play the catch-up game, or like, oh, it was your responsibility, no, it was this person's responsibility, etc., etc. I feel like that's something that's very difficult, but as a developer advocate, that's kind of like your main goal, or your main skill set that you need to have. Your job is to be able to communicate correctly different tools, different things happening in the technical world for whatever company you're working for, as well as being able to cross-functionally communicate with different teams. So like, I'm part of a marketing team, but I have to always be talking to different teams. I have like 100 different chats between different teams, and it can be a little bit hard to handle sometimes, but I feel like it's a definite skill set that you need to have. If you can't properly communicate and organize yourself, it's gonna be kind of hard to be a developer advocate, especially in the team I'm in. So that I feel like those two skill sets have been the ones that have helped me the most. I think right now I'm still kind of learning what I want to do. I really like this developer advocate role. However, I do want to keep moving up the ladder. I really am looking into product management. I feel like that's probably the next step that I want to take in my career. And what I really like about working at my company is that they give, you're allowed to do side projects within the company and be able to, let's say you want to launch something or you want to be part of a project, you definitely can. Especially as a developer advocate, you have like that capability, I guess you could say. I guess talking to my managers, as well as just learning on the side, having side projects. It's something that it's not currently happening, right? Currently I'm just focusing on getting adjusted to this job and trying to learn what I need to do, because it's been a few months, but I'm still learning. I really want to continue to grow and pursue, if it's product management or something else, or I don't know, becoming part of a different developer advocate team and doing something that interests me more or something like that. But currently, I'm just focusing right now on just trying to learn the current job that I'm trying to do, and then hopefully afterwards I can start climbing that ladder, I guess. I guess the advice that I would give someone would be, okay, so I guess the advice for this current role would be you have to have a lot of general knowledge. That's something that I've learned. As a developer advocate, you're constantly dealing with different developers from different levels of skill set, and as well as like different developers. You get back-end developers, front-end, full stack, or machine learning, etc., etc. Or you even deal with like product management, CTOs, CEOs, etc. Like you deal with a lot of different people. Sometimes they have a lot of technical knowledge. Sometimes they don't even know how to copy paste. So I feel like having a lot of general knowledge and how to talk to different people is something that you need to have, or you need to at least try to obtain. I don't know everything, but I do know different things. I feel like I'm not an expert on everything. However, I am familiar with different things. So if I'm asked a question, I don't know the answer to it, but I know what they're talking about, and I know how to get that answer to that developer, or how to build, let's say a sample app to help to supplement a developer to understand how our tool works, or something like that.
Hi, my name is Cristian Aguilar. I'm a senior studying computer engineering under the hardware concentration. I am the current vice president of IEEE here at the Edinburgh campus. I'm a member of Tau Beta Pi, and I will be graduating this semester, moving to Austin, working as a software engineer for NI, formerly National Instruments. Sure. So before being a full-time employee at NI, I interned the year before. I found the position actually at the UTRGV Career Fair. It was a virtual career fair in 2021 spring. Before the actual event started at 9 a.m., I actually scoured through all the different companies that were there, see which ones were of interest, relating to engineering, more specifically electrical or computer engineering. That one seemed like the most attractive, so I made sure I was the first one there, nicely dressed, had all my talking points ready. Thankfully, I got a call back, and it was kind of a vibe check after that one, talking about the values that they held. And before the actual interview occurred, I went on their website, see what they were famous for, which is LabVIEW software, as well as other devices, Rio, all that kind of stuff. So I made sure I was well versed with what the company does and what they value in employees. After that, it was a behavioral assessment, talking about different scenarios that I've encountered as a student or a leader. So, it's important that you go on YouTube, look up all those different types of behavioral questions and practice them on yourself. And then after that was the technical assessment. And that's where, you have to start practicing all of your different algorithms, definitely focusing on, thankfully I was taking Computer Science 3, or Data Structures and Algorithms class with Dr. Schweller, so I was pretty well versed with the different types of data structures, different types of algorithms, runtimes, just getting myself as prepared as possible, as well as seeing all these different types of possible questions that you could be given on YouTube and other different websites. Just getting, really, really well fit for that interview. And everything went smoothly, thankfully, and they called me back a week later, telling me that I had the offer for an internship. I took it, I did the internship, and at the end of it, they offered me a full-time position for the next year, which I gladly accepted. Well, I've been fortunate to not have to work. I know that's not a leisure that a lot of people have, but because I was able to have a little more time on my hands, I first wanted to structure my time, realize that I wanted to be able to visualize all of my assignments and all my exams and everything, so a calendar was one of my top priorities. Personally, it's hard for me to keep track of all my due dates mentally. So being able to write it all down, see and keep track, and just being able to add that little check mark after you complete something, it gives you a sense of encouragement to get that next check mark done. Being able to visualize everything, even though it might be packed day after day, you know that you get things done one at a time. You definitely need downtime, especially within engineering and computer science. Personally, I like to find my off time, whether it being like physical activities, going to the gym in the morning. I play at my church, so that's another way of getting away from all the technical stuff. Definitely some balance in life. You can't just be focusing on all of your courses all day, every week. You will drive yourself mad and you'll hate what you're studying. I would say don't pass up any opportunity that comes by that you think is too trivial. If it's a student organization that you think, it's not going to do much for me, or if there's some friend group that's asking if you want to go study with them, and you're saying there's no real value in that, even if there isn't at the start of it, it could lead to something else that grows. Any opportunity that comes by, if you don't see the value in it, give it a shot. If you have the opportunity, because you never know what door that might open up for you later on. For instance, the student organization, IEEE, that's here on campus, at first I thought it wouldn't really be doing much for me. I feel pretty confident with all my classes, but I attended one general meeting. I found some friends. We continued going to them. I became an officer the next semester. Then I became president, and having these different positions in my resume actually allowed me to get into more job positions. So what seemed like something very, very simple as just being a member of a student organization allowed me to become a president of the same organization, which then opened the door for lots of positions in my life. So even though the value isn't there at face value, you have to trust that over time, you keep putting in the work, it'll get you there. So with that being said, make sure that you try to look for ways to stand out from the rest of the students. Student organizations are a really good way. Doing your own types of fun projects on the side. Personally, I actually made a program for a video game that I played, where it helps to hack into computers. Very simple, and I'm applying what I learned in my classes. So it shows that you have some sort of drive to apply what you are learning in your classes rather than just getting that degree. So I would definitely advise that. Sure. So my internship was based on a project of developing a current driver software that was being used for many devices and updating the driver software so that it can be compatible with more devices within a family. A lot of Python, a lot of C++, a lot of scouring the source code across all the different projects within the company of NI. One thing I really liked about the change from going from a school setting to a company is that you don't really feel like it's student versus professor. It's more like student and mentor versus problem. You're working with them, you're communicating with them. They want to see you succeed because at the end of the day, they want the company to succeed. So you feel like you guys are very well working together. At first, you get a bit of imposter syndrome, feeling I don't belong here. And to be honest, you don't, right? That's why you're there. You're there to learn. You're there to build yourself into that way. You don't feel like you're just the small fish in a big pond. But you kind of have to accept that you're going to be feeling a little, I guess, humble. You should humble yourself in those first couple of days and understand that there's a lot to learn, but that they know that because they were in your shoes and that they want to help you. So have that willingness to learn a little bit every day. I still have my old notebook with like tons of pages of things I learned. My first 2 weeks of my internship was just all note-taking, learning about how everything works. And then after that, I could start actually writing code, pushing into the master branch and all that kind of stuff. Just be humble. Always ask questions. No question is too trivial. They want to see you succeed. And just keep pushing for it.
My name is Frank Saliba. I am a graduate of UTRGV in 2019 with my master's in computer science. I currently work for JP Morgan Chase in their AWM line of business, that's Asset and Wealth Management, and I've been working there since February 2020. The job kind of stumbled upon me. I was actually going to go to SHIP, the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers Conference. I didn't want to go, and then I had a friend who kind of nudged me to go. I'd been talking to American Express for a while, and JP Morgan kind of swooped me in. I talked to an engineer there. They asked me for an interview, and we had back-to-back technical interviews and behavioral. And that night, I got the offer. Something that I learned is, of course it's taught in school to work as a group, to collaborate with others. And that's important, but it is expounded upon greatly in the actual professional environment. You're always going to be leaning on somebody. There's something that that other people don't. Likewise, there's stuff that other people know that you don't. So you're always going to have to create a network for yourself and for others, and try to really collaborate to tackle a problem together. My undergrad is actually in finance, and I'd worked in industry for about a year and a half. It was not really what I was looking for. I wanted something a little bit more technical, more analytical, and I had looked into the job description of a financial analyst, and they needed skills in Python and SQL. And in doing so, I took it upon myself to teach myself a little bit of those skills. And I looked at the time, looked at the clock, and I felt like if I was going to make a career move like this, that was probably the time. So I resigned from my job, and I pursued a master's in computer science after taking some undergrad courses in CS to kind of get a foundation. So, yeah. The good thing about graduate studies is that all the classes are in the evening. So, unless you have other obligations, your morning and noon is free. I did spend a lot of time interview prepping, doing lead codes, talking to myself in the mirror about, behavioral questions. So when I wasn't doing schoolwork and when I wasn't doing TA work, that was taken up with job interview prep, and I'd consider it a full-time job because it was just so much, and you have to just grind through it. Two, actually. One would be developing a sense of fearlessness. If you're gonna fail hard and fail correctly, and just move on. I think that there's a lot of trepidation that I've seen of people not wanting to fail, and you just have to go for it. That, in addition to developing a tenacity, just going on and on and on, and not giving up, I think is going to be the key factor here. So those two non-technical skills would be what I'd consider is most important. Study, and get good at what you do. Develop a passion for it. I think it's important to be good at computer science or computer engineering and have those problem-solving skills. But what's important is wanting to get better and wanting to improve your algorithm, improve your data structures, and I think that will kind of make you a cut above the rest. You're going okay. Things are pretty good at JP Morgan. They've treated me well. I feel like I will stay there for the foreseeable future. That being said, maybe in the future I'll be looking for different opportunities. I know that there's a trend to job hop in engineering and software engineering specifically. And that may be tempting, but for now I enjoy the stability of what I do, and I feel like I'm on track for more promotions down the line. So hopefully I get promoted into until I can't do it anymore, and then maybe I'll switch around.
My name is Matthew de Santiago. I'm majoring in computer engineering with the focus in, actually I'm doing the general track. At the time I didn't know which track to choose, so I went with general. I had an internship with Amazon last summer, the summer of 2021, which gave me a full-time job out of that. So I'm going to be going back to Amazon this summer, starting in August. I didn't really target the specific job. I was just applying randomly, just anywhere I could. I applied to the regular software engineering internship at Amazon. I didn't pass the interview process, but they gave me a interview for the Amazon Propel program, or an opportunity to interview with them. So I applied to that one, got the interview. It was only one interview, and I managed to pass that one, and then I ended up getting the internship the following summer. I think that, I suppose anyone can do it. Like sometimes I felt like I wasn't capable enough to work at a software engineering position, especially like a high-end company like Amazon. Definitely did not expect getting that internship. So when I was there, I just knew that I had to try my best. So I guess what I learned is that once you start doing it and you're there at your job and you gain enough confidence, you start to realize that you can do it, that anyone can do it. It's just a matter of being confident enough or gaining that confidence to feel like you're capable. Well, I feel like I can talk a lot about this, but on like coming in my freshman year of college, I knew I had to be more active, because in high school I was more involved with sports instead of like career development or like clubs and stuff. So I wanted to join a club that would kind of teach me professional development, how to write my resume, and just grow more instead of just doing school. So I joined the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers my freshman year, and I think being involved with an organization, any organization, you get to talk to people who know more than you, who are more experienced than you. So through that engagement, I learned a lot about professional development, how to write my resume. Many people helped me. I had many mentors that kind of guided me along the way. So when I realized what I needed to do, it was just doing schoolwork, not really prioritizing GPA. Of course, like I had to get good grades, but I also knew I had to kind of manage the professional development side. So I would spend about maybe an hour of, actually I don't know exactly how many hours I would spend, but just whenever I could, I would attend any events with SHIP or any organization that I feel like would help me grow. So in terms of managing my time, it was just doing anything and everything that I felt like I could do and that would help me grow professionally and as a person and academically. I guess I hope that answers the question. I guess social, like teamwork skills, working with a team, as well as leadership. Because of my involvement with the organization, SHIP and mainly SHIP, I was able to, I was an officer there and I was able to lead a team within that organization. So that gave me the confidence and the ability to work with other people, kind of garnish ideas and get ideas from each other and try to make something happen. So that gave me that, those leadership skills and those soft skills. that for sure helped, as well as like projects with teammates in academics. That always helps for sure. And I guess that's what I would say. Interview skills. I'm not sure if that's considered a soft skill, but because of the organization, because of knowing what I had to do, in terms of that organization teaching me that, I was able to slowly kind of get experience over time with interviews and talking to people, talking to recruiters, and just learning to ask questions and being comfortable with people who know more than you in that sense. Best avenue, I guess, would first be becoming aware that you need to learn these skills. Once you're aware of them, and I guess one of the easiest ways to become aware is, like I said, to join an organization, to learn from people who know more than you. They will kind of teach you things or make you become aware of things that you didn't know of, like what soft skills you should kind of help be improving on, what you should target, like how you should interview, just professional development skills like that. So I guess that's the initial step, is to just become aware of it and being involved for sure, and asking people who are more experienced than you will help you become aware of that. Then following that, you just do your own research and ask people who've gone through it already what they did, and kind of learn from there, and just keep growing slowly but surely, because it is a journey. It takes time. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say. To keep trying. I guess I would say that's the most important thing is to not give up. And in software engineering, and just I guess in life in general, that's the most important thing. Like when you're trying to solve a problem, you're not going to succeed every time. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. But if you keep trying, you eventually get better every single time, and maybe like get to the solution or get to where you want to go. So just keep trying, keep growing as a person, keep growing academically, professionally. It's hard work, but anyone can get there, and it just takes time. It's a journey. It's a process. So when someone feels discouraged or something, if things don't turn out the way they want to, just to keep trying. That's the most important thing. Pretty good. I mean, it's nice not to have to worry about trying to find a job after graduation. So now that's kind of hopefully set in stone. It should be, depending on if I graduate, still working on that. But that's going pretty well. I guess once I get there, it's nice to know that I've experienced it before in my internship. So I kind of know what I'm getting into. And like I said, with having enough confidence, the internship kind of gave me that confidence to know that I am capable and that anyone can do it. So going back into it feels not as overwhelming, not as stressful. Yeah.
My name is Raul, and I am a student here. I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate in May 2022 with my degree in computer science, my bachelor's degree, and I currently have experience as an intern, a software engineer intern at MasterCard, which I did last summer, a year ago. And I've got a full-time job lined up as a software engineer for after I graduate. So my internship, which I got about a year ago, I applied to many jobs. I applied to easily, I would say, more than 30 by the time they got back to me. But throughout the season, I easily applied to over 100. So that was my approach, was to just keep at it, going on Indeed, going on LinkedIn, But where I really found the most success in my job hunt was attending conferences. Now, at the time, all these conferences were like virtual. So I went to, for example, the Tapia conference, SHIP, SHPE, and I basically got really good results at Tapia. I got a positive feedback from 3 companies who wanted to interview me, one of which was MasterCard. And so that's how I got in touch with them. And then I went through their process, which was basically just one round, 1 hour of talking with 3 software engineers. It was 2 senior software engineers and a director, or I think like a director, more like a manager, like a manager of software engineers. And this was kind of almost like a conversation. It wasn't too technical in nature. I was explaining some things about like things I learned in my computer science curriculum, things about sorting and searching, how does the stack work, what is time complexity. I was asked a couple questions about Java, things like how a class works, how object-oriented programming works, a couple things about SQL, whether I knew certain commands or not. And these were all things I just answered verbally, but I also had the chance to ask a lot of questions about like how the job would be, who would I work with, what did they like about the job. So that was really my process. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was too difficult, but that first initial hump when the school year started and I was searching for jobs, that was definitely hard. That first month or 2, I was just applying and doing like 10 jobs a day, sometimes more. I have learned to appreciate the role that everyone has on a team. I really thought that when I would go in as a software engineer intern, I would just code in isolation and not have to work with or worry about or collaborate with many people. I thought I would get a task and just get to it, but I learned that everyone has their role. In the team I worked with, there were software engineers of different levels, mid-level, senior level, a manager. There was a tech lead. There was an architect who designed the system. There was a business analyst who worked on business requirements. There was a product manager. There was a scrum master who made sure that everything went smoothly in our stand-up meetings. And so I gained a lot of appreciation because I tried to talk to each of them and learn what they do. And so I also got to learn like different career paths that I could explore. Now, as far as technical things, I learned quite a bit because I had a great mentor. So I also learned what it means to have a mentor who knows a lot more than you, who's been in your shoes. I was working a lot with this platform called Splunk, which is for DevOps, and it processes large amounts of data. And anytime I had a question, I knew I could come to my mentor. I knew that it was the best thing to do was for me to try for a little bit, try like an hour or 2, and then go to my mentor and tell him, this is what I tried, but I could sure use your help. And sometimes he would help me, and sometimes he would actually help me by referring me to documentation that previous employees had made. So again, it was a lot about appreciating the work that others before me had done. And I really felt like I was part of this really awesome effort, and everybody was on the same page. Everybody was being productive. We were all being really honest about where we were, about our skills, just trying to improve. I felt like it was a very healthy environment. My time management, the way I tackled college, well, I did 1 year at STC, community college. And I would say the curriculum was a little easier, so that kind of eased me into college life. I got to get to know what it means to study, to come home after college, after a day, and dedicate 3 hours to homework or something. I got into that habit. But concrete things I did, I got a planner. I just use a paper planner, and every day I write down, this is what I'm going to do for this day, and these are my due dates. And I need to prioritize everything. I always prioritize. If I have 10 things, I put number 1 priority, somewhere I can see, and I know I got to do it ASAP. I try to do big tasks a little bit every day. Do not put off your 8-hour homework to be done on the last day. That's like the worst thing you can do. I was also very honest with teams when I was with like group projects, because I was actually in a couple group projects, and unfortunately during college I had like some personal crises related to my family, related to some health issues that I needed to take care of, and they were things that really cost me a lot of stress and a lot of worry. But I just told my group, and I told my professor, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Like I could really use some time. I could really use some understanding, and don't feel like you're weak. You're actually strong for like being honest and for trying your best and for caring to communicate, because you need to be transparent. So doing these things is probably what helped me. And of course, like making time outside of school for things I enjoyed, video games, anime, like cooking. I would try and like learn a new dish every week. Little things like that keep you from burning out. And just like keeping the passion for learning, because honestly, even though college comes with a lot of struggles and it feels like you're learning a lot of things that aren't too useful, I tell myself that like learning for the sake of learning is fun. Like just knowing that you're growing your knowledge is like amazing. And so if I can keep that going, I can get through anything. Non-technical skills, I would say being transparent about where I'm at, where I'm progressing, and telling my mentors, being proactive about where I want to grow, how I want to grow in my role, and asking questions. So something I thought about a lot in my internship, I would see what my manager was doing and maybe what some senior technical contributors were doing, some software engineers. And it was clear that they were both doing different things, and they were both developing different skills. A manager might have to be more social and might have to make some harder decisions. And so I had a lot of respect for that. And maybe some software engineers had to be like very analytical, but also take a step back and see like, okay, we need to estimate that these tasks are going to take the right amount of time. We need to make sure we don't overshoot, we don't undershoot, and like we make good promises and we deliver. And so a lot of that is communication, estimating the work, being a good leader. I feel that's underrated, and that's what I want to aspire to, is to be a good leader. And I think being a good leader is about putting yourself on the line and sacrificing yourself for the good of your team. And I definitely got a lot of good examples in my life about that. Sure. So after thinking about the importance of leadership, in my college experience, right now I'm currently the student lead or the president of Frontera Devs. I'm really happy to be with this club. When I joined, I had expectations that like they were blown out of the water. I feel like I've been such a good contributor, and I've been around a team of really positive people. And being in an officer position gives you the chance to develop leadership, because you can see firsthand how hard people are willing to work, how much they value the work you do, how to resolve tiny conflicts. Somebody wants to do this, somebody wants to do that. How are we going to settle it? Well, maybe we should just ask the students what are they interested in. Keep in touch with your audience. Things like that really made a difference for me, because being in this club, man, it has like been the best thing ever. And then the other advice I would give is to work really hard on, surprisingly, your communication comes from writing and reading. I am a big advocate for reading a lot of books and reading a lot of technical things too. So be on the lookout for like technical blogs, technical news related to the field that you're interested in. See what the experts are saying, see what the casual people are saying, see what everybody's saying, and that way you're kind of in tune with your industry. Fortunately, I have a job lined up. After a pretty grueling job search, I did a lot of interviews, and I put myself through tons of like hours of interviews. And I was able to get a job at Facebook or Meta, and I'm going to be working in Seattle full-time as a software engineer after I graduate. And I expect to really like it. There's a lot of things I liked about it. I felt like the people who interviewed me took their jobs very seriously. They have a really high degree of competence. They care a lot about getting a good job done, about working in really efficient teams. And I'm so excited because the scale of work they're doing is huge. And I feel like I'm going to be exposed to such a high quality of work. But what I would plan to do after that is I would like to explore whether I want to be a software engineer who goes up that ladder and becomes very technical, or sort of like a manager of people and software engineers.
Okay, my name is Sonia Cirlos. I am a master's student at UTRGV. I'm also a UX designer for a telemedicine startup in Nigeria. I graduate this May, so next month. I also do research on campus. I started my job process applying for software engineering intern roles. Along the way, with help of friends and mentors, I found out about a career in user experience or user interface design. So what you would see on job boards, it would be called UX or UI designer. Then I started to realize that most of my projects, I liked spending time designing the interface of things and how users interact with products, like, for example, an Instagram app. What's easier for them? How can you put yourself in a user's shoes? And if you can, and empathize with them, I realized that ultimately that was the path that I wanted to take. And with coding experience, I feel like that coding experience with the user experience, both of those can help you land a job, because you're not only able to help work with engineers, but you're also on the product side. So I went through a couple interviews for different positions, and ultimately I ended up at a telemedicine startup in Nigeria. For the interview process for UX design, most of the time they make you they give you an assessment. Not so much a coding assessment, but more like create a calculator for blind people, or create an ATM machine for children, or anything, something kind of like that. So that was really nice. I did like those kind of assessments. Other than that, it was just after those assessments, if you pass them, you're able to meet with, the other designers that you would be working with, and sometimes engineers, and they would interview you. Sometimes if you already have a project, like at school you designed how Instagram should be or how Spotify app should be, they kind of want you to see that project. So it's really nice if you have something, even if it's not finalized, just some sort of design that you want to show them, and kind of walk them through the process of how you did that. So after my assessment, and then I did the interviews, and then I showed them a presentation of a project I had already done, and then I was able to land that internship. Since my job is remote, I work with, most of the employees are in Nigeria. I definitely learned how to manage time. There is like a 6 or 7 hour difference between time zones. So it was a lot of collaboration, or waking up like at 4 or 5 a.m. So definitely learned how to prioritize my time and be really organized. This internship, I think, helped me a lot, not only for my internship, but also in my graduate studies, how to prioritize what I need to complete first, and also in research. So that was one thing, just being organized. And then also learning about different cultures. I mean, here in the United States, we are exposed to different cultures, but when you get to know people who actually live in another country, it's really cool, because you learn their slang and other things. You also see how they think a little bit differently according to their culture and society. So I felt like I'm a little bit more like worldly because of it. So I actually have an undergrad degree in biology. After my undergrad degree in biology, I worked for a little bit, but then I realized that computer science was something I wanted to go for instead. So I applied to the master's program here after taking some undergraduate computer science classes, and I was accepted. One of the professors that I took, Dr. Schweller, he actually recruited me from his class to join his research group. From there, it was really hard, but the team and our bosses just really kind of set you up for success. And I definitely recommend to anyone who goes to graduate school in computer science to even if they have like a little bit of interest in research, just put yourself in there. I threw myself in a world I knew nothing about, but there's always going to be people to support you. So, even if you have a little bit of interest in something like research, just go for it and try it out. You don't succeed anything if you don't try. So that's how I felt. So advice for anyone who wants to join a UX or UI design field, definitely I recommend, since you're already in the computer science program, I recommend, keep learning how to code, learn different languages and stuff, but also create your own side projects. These UX or UI side projects they're probably a little bit easier than like a coding web development or website or like a mobile app development, because here is more of a design and like the interface. And so definitely have like a side project that you like, whatever website that you feel that you could design better, or a mobile app that you feel lacks a button or something is not in the right position, just redesign it. There's a lot of free resources such as Figma, Figma, and that's a free resource. You just download the app, or you can use it even on the website form. From there, you can, definitely watch YouTube tutorials, ask around. Another cool thing is you can team up with other people who maybe are really good at mobile app development or website development, and you could actually be like the UX designer of that project. A lot of times a software engineering course or something gives you a project to work on. Take on the design roles and see if you like it. And if you do, build your own side projects, and then definitely make a portfolio. So like an online website that showcases you and your work. Like whether it be just designing like buttons and stuff like that for a mobile app, or actually going through like the user experience process of like interviewing the user and the whole process of user experience. But that has really helped me so far. I've been getting a lot of interviews for full-time positions because of my portfolio. So just any little projects or anything that you see, like a software that you think is lacking in something, just try it out.
Hello, my name is Timothy Gomez. I'm a graduate student here in the computer science department at UHRGV. I'm working with both Dr. Schroller and Dr. Wiley. We research theoretical computer science, but we can say more specifically algorithmic self-assembly or programmable matter, just kind of cool things like that. So at first I was just an undergrad, just taking courses, going through. At first I was a computer engineering major, actually. Some of the courses got kind of tough, but at the same time as I was struggling with like the electrical engineering side, I started really kind of doing well at the computer science side. And at some point, Dr. Schweller went, and after I'd taken his CS2 course, invited me to join summer research that year. And I went out there and actually kind of really enjoyed it, and really kind of did well, and just kind of kept going from there. So it wasn't really like an actual interview process. The process was kind of just taking classes and answering questions in class, and then at some point, the opportunity comes up, and then it's just kind of seizing it and doing well and really enjoying it is the biggest part of it. Yeah, so it's very different than undergrad. Undergrad, there's a lot of focus on courses, and you can do the same in graduate school, but
really what I did, because focusing on research and my goals to stay doing research in academia in the future, is just really focusing on that and focusing on a really good thesis. So a lot of what I did over my graduate studies was just focusing on writing papers. So I was here almost every day, just working kind of similar to like a job, rather than just coming in for classes like a lot of undergrads do. Just being here all the time, writing papers, getting them published. Actually, me and David Capieto, we did most of our graduate work together. Really all of it, but we both just were here. We got a lot of publications, and really that's not super common, but just the being here and the support from our advisors, Dr. Schroller and Dr. Wiley, were just always great, and we were able to do a lot of cool stuff, solve a lot of open problems that have been open for a long time. So really that's more of what the graduate studies entailed for me specifically. And it's different from person to person depending on how much classes you want to take, but really it's the being there, coming up with new things, and doing research. Yeah. So a big one is perseverance. You're there, you're coming up with things and that no human has ever thought of. It's brand new, you're extending the reach of human knowledge. It's things no one has thought about before, and you're doing similar to homework problems, but they're problems that no one's ever solved before. So you get a math problem in a math class. They know the answer, right? There's an answer key. But what if there wasn't that key? What if no one knew and you were the first person to go and work on that? And you're the first person to find that answer. So that's more of what that research entails, so it's very hard. Sometimes you may be trying to prove something and that's not the right answer. So you have to be able to persevere through it. You have to be able to be wrong and have to be able to stand up there and be told you're wrong by the people you're working with, because sometimes it's you thought about it and it doesn't work out right, and you go back, you refine your idea, you try to fix it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But you have to be able to kind of be comfortable in that, be comfortable in being wrong, be comfortable in your lack of knowledge, and be comfortable being confused, because that's kind of the area you want to go to. Is you want to go to where you have no idea what's going on and piece it together and build it. So it gets very tough. So a big thing is perseverance. Another one that's more of kind of a soft skill is collaboration and talking with people, and really just the openness of the communication. Because there is the technical communication part, which is the writing the papers, sending up the given presentations, but is also a lot of talking to people, telling them your ideas, communicating them, communicating with them, meetings and things like that. And it's a lot of just communication and collaboration, being able to work with other people, trying to not step on each other's toes, and normally works out really well because everyone is just very eager to work and collaborate and do things, but it's just something you have to be careful of, and normally goes well, but it is more of a social thing because, like I said, these problems are very hard, so you can't do it alone. You need to be able to work with the team and even people who aren't close, trying to communicate with other scientists around the world. So it's very interesting, but it does get hard, so you have to stick to it. It's going really well. So I'm finishing my master's here at UTRGV this spring, and I actually already got accepted into MIT's Electrical Engineering and Computer Science PhD program. I already know the advisor I'm going to work with over there, Eric Domain. He does a lot of work in origami and games and these really cool concepts. And so I'm going to be able to continue my work over there. I have a fellowship to attend, so they'll be able to help me with that my first year. And very competitive. Again, this is kind of the top school, so it's going to be tough, but this is exactly where I want to be, because my future goals is to become a professor at a larger research university and to continue doing that research, and at some point when I am professor, to start a group and have a lot of students and be able to inspire all these students to get involved in research and help them, to give them ideas. Very similar to a kind of I feel a more extreme version of what I'm doing now, working with all of our team and all of our graduate students with everyone's compiling stuff like that, and kind of helping out and coming up with ideas and doing this. And it's very nice to have just a big group of people, and I definitely want to keep that going in my future career.